Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be kicking off our e-commerce live audit sessions alongside our wonderful WTS partner Sitebulb. We're women in tech SEO, and we do a lot of different projects with our partners that we open up for everyone. But it's very important to remember that everyone who is attending today needs to ensure that they're adhering with the WTS way, which is our code of conduct. We have shared a link in the chat and we'll continue to share the link again. So please take the time to kindly go through that. Um, and these sessions are going to run as 4 different sessions, all covering different topics in e-commerce. And Sitebulb are our incredible partner who always take the time to run a lot of these projects and webinars. The main purpose is to make sure that we're sharing our knowledge with the industry as a whole. So today I am joined by the very, very wonderful Nikki Halliwell, one of my very favorite tech SEOs, who has an incredible newsletter. Nikki, make sure that you plug in that newsletter link in the chat for folks to subscribe to. That includes weekly updates in the SEO world and some of my very favorite columns as well. Nikki has also recently started running her very own meetups and conference up north, which is also so exciting to see happening. And yeah, I just couldn't be happier to have Nikki as one of our first speakers in these sessions. So today, Nikki will be taking you through auditing and optimizing PLPs and PDPs, and also making sure that we all together can see live examples of how we can do that via Sitebulb. I'll be back towards the end of the session to go through any questions that people have, and we'll make sure we have enough time for some Q&A as well. So, Nikki, I'm going to hand over to you, and thank you everyone so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Avish, and thank you everyone for joining today. I'm also going to put a caveat right at the top that I'm currently full of a cold, so if I do have to mute at any point while I grab a tissue, I apologise. We may have to put some like elevator music in the background if that happens, but hopefully we'll all be good. But I'm excited today to talk through uh, auditing PDPs and PLPs and how we can do that to the best of our ability with the amazing Sitebulb tool. So a little bit about me. Arija's also very kindly already shouted out my newsletter, and there's a link in the chat as well. And I'm also an independent technical SEO consultant, as well as being a senior technical SEO manager at Journey Further. One of the main reasons why we're talking about this today, and also crucially one of the key reasons why women in tech SEO and Sitebulb are running these sessions, is because the demand for e-commerce is increasing, and by 2027, it is predicted by Statista that e-commerce will make up a quarter of global retail sales, which by later this year is expected to be $7 trillion, which I think we can all agree is a huge amount of money. Therefore, we as SEOs and website users as well need to know how we can make the most of these opportunities for our clients, so we can drive all of that sweet revenue right to our client websites. First of all, with e-commerce websites, especially compared to regular websites, if there is such a thing as a regular website, does come with their own challenges, and these are things that we need to be aware of when it comes to e-commerce. The first of which is the sheer size of the product catalogs. Sometimes it can be impossible to even complete a crawl with massive data sets. We need to know how we can navigate them, whether we're just crawling certain folders, but also when we get that finished crawl, where do you even start? If you're just presented with these thousands or even millions of URLs, what do you do with that? Other challenges include being able to identify high priority pages amongst all of the other pages, and duplicate content that can exist, especially with pagination and facets, but also understanding how we can navigate various technical constraints, JavaScript heavy sites as well. We've had the previous JavaScript course from Tori and Sam from Grey Dot, and also other challenges with technical sites just around general core budget management. But the good thing is that Sitebulb was built with e-commerce in mind, so it helps to manage all of these. As I'm sure we're all aware, it is an amazing site auditing tool. It has capabilities on desktop and cloud. It helps us to crawl at scale. We can audit change history and see the difference that we've made and experienced since the last site audit. It's incredibly useful, as well as scheduling audits and data customization. It is an incredibly powerful tool that I use in my day-to-day work, and I would say that even if I wasn't doing this on Sitebulb's behalf, so definitely make sure that you go and check it out if you don't already. So I wanted to talk about a couple of key elements with PLPs. So these are category pages. PLP stands for product listing pages. And there's a few things that we need to look out for and be aware of if we're going to be working on e-commerce sites and knowing where we need to improve. First and foremost, we have the category name and the description. Similar to most other websites, I hope, we have a page title and a description. These are things that we need to look out for, know where we can edit them, and also how to optimize them. A category page will also, or should also, have options for product filtering and sorting. You might see things like quick buy options. By this, we mean that you don't necessarily have to click and go through to the product page itself. You might even just be able to add it straight to your cart from that category page. You can also have things like stock availability, how many reviews it's had, or a rating out of 5. And similar to quick buy, you might have the option to save to a wish list. These are some very quick examples that I found, and I wanted to quickly touch on. The first one is a fashion website that I'm sure most of us have at least heard of if we've not used, which is very.co.uk. And the second one is slightly more American focused, but this is stevemadden.com. What I liked about these product pages in particular, these category pages in particular, is that you'll see that they do include many of the bullet points that I've just covered. So we have things like the filtering options, quite comprehensive, subcategories as well, especially with color options, as well as seeing social proof in like the things like 5-star reviews, and also discount codes available with the likes of Steve Madden. You can see that they've got like $90 off with the code SHINE, for example, included in some of the boots that are on screen there. Steve Madden also have the quick buy option, which is really useful, and I couldn't include it in the screenshot, but if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, they do have additional category page copy as well, which is really, really useful. So moving on ever slightly to looking at product pages themselves. Similar elements as well. We're looking at page titles, product titles and descriptions, but of course we want to be really showcasing our products, whatever they are, with high quality images and videos that show your product from all of the relevant angles. They show it used in different ways. Of course, it depends on what it is that you're selling, but it's not really enough these days to just have one image. We can really invest in product imagery, and it's really not that expensive. I've even seen some websites using AI to generate the images. That really does depend on what you're selling as to whether or not that works, and if you can clearly tell it's AI. I'd always opt for realistic, real images rather than AI. Depending on the budget and, like I say, what it is that you're selling, then there could certainly be a case for using AI images. On our product pages, we absolutely do need to make sure that we have clear, detailed, and I thought that it was important to include the word truthful in this product information. again, with AI, people can spin up their product descriptions, and it's just full of all sorts of language that doesn't make sense and make false claims, which then, if people do make a purchase decision on the back of that, they're going to quickly come back and start to complain that you've misled them, and that would cost your brand a lot more money if it was to happen. So making sure that you're really laying out exactly how this product can help your target audience. Maybe you're addressing a certain pain point. These are things that you can really outline within that. Technical information and specifications as well should absolutely be included. Again, this does depend on what it is that you're selling. But, with the most common categories with e-commerce is fashion. So you can talk about things like the materials that it's made from, and things like that. And if it's tech, of course, you want to be talking about things like the screen size or various other technical specifications. People do actually search for this information as well. So make sure that it's included as well as helping them to make buying decisions. Customer reviews, include them. I mean, if you work with third parties review websites, then you might have the option to embed them on the website from there, or perhaps you've got a large retailer that you're working with, and they're able to include them directly on the pages themselves. Whichever option you have, it's definitely worth making sure that you do have your reviews on there. User generated content really does go a long way, and there's none more strong than customer reviews, especially if you can encourage them to use images as well in their reviews. I know that's something that I look at when I'm using even the likes of Amazon. The images on there can be really useful, but actually when I scroll down and look at the reviews, one of the first things I look for in this review section is photos and videos from other buyers, and then that really helps me to understand, does it actually do what I want it to do? Does it actually do what this description is telling me? And how are other people using it? And that can really go a long way. Strong calls to action as well. Definitely make sure you've got them included and they're as prominent as possible without being too intrusive and starting to look a bit peculiar. And a couple of other points that you need to make sure you've included on your product pages is having a clear value proposition, and also the all important URLs themselves, making sure that they are as logical as possible and, of course, user friendly and readable to humans. A couple of more examples that I wanted to include here, similar to the ones that we've gone through already with the category pages. We've got Gymshark.com. I quite liked the way that they have their product pages set up. They've got lots of different images included. They're showing it from different angles, and they're also showing product variations in the different colors. So you can click through into the different colors and actually see, do I want this hoodie in green? Is it going to look the same? Is it the shade of green that I want it to be? And things like that, all incredibly useful. With Gymshark, I also liked the way that they have their sizing set up, and it was, again, really easy just to click on each size that I want, and especially on mobile, this worked really well, and it didn't end up where I'm trying to click on large, but it's actually taking me to extra large, or vice versa. Their buttons are really big and easy to click, and you'll be surprised how often that isn't the case. So that's something they're doing really, really well. And calls to action as well. So we've got the add to bag option, so we can quickly check out, but also they understand that I might not want to check out right now. I might be on the go, or I might be doing something else. And actually, I just want to save this to my wish list, and I'll make a purchase later on. Gymshark make both options really, really easy. With Garmin.com, looking at their watches, they have really prominent product titles, and I thought it was interesting that they also do include their part numbers quite prominently as well. This is something that I noticed for the first time at a previous agency when we're working with Lego. They include all of their like part numbers and things like that, and I was a bit like, well, why are they including that? Who is searching for it? But actually, unbeknownst to me at the time, there's huge amounts of people that weren't searching for, I don't know, Harry Potter Lego set or whatever the, space Lego set. They're actually searching for the specific product numbers and part numbers, and by making sure that that information is clear and available on the page, it means it's of course indexable and crawlable. It means that of course the Garmin website is going to show up for those websites rather than third party websites, which is what we want to happen. Very clear pricing on this website. It's a lot bigger. If you look at the Gymshark pricing, it's quite hidden. Not hidden's the wrong word, to be fair. I mean, it is there. It's just not as prominent. Whereas I really like the way that they've made it almost as same size as the title itself on Garmin. And crucially, some of the things that they make really clear on Garmin.com is the shipping information. So you can see right above the add to cart option, they've included the text that said ready to ship in 1 to 3 business days. Straight away, I know that if I'm going to purchase that, yeah, it should be starting to ship ideally tomorrow, but if not, it'll ship by the end of the week, and then I know when to expect it. And excuse me, just laying out all of this information straight away really does cut out any potential barriers to conversion. So I'm gonna quickly grab a drink and then we'll dive into Sitebulb. So I'm going to stop sharing my presentation, and I'm going to share my overall screen basically, and then we can look at some live product pages and category pages and see how we can look at them in much more detail on Sitebulb itself. So where's it gone? Share my entire window. That should be entire screen. There we go. Cool. So if I just make that a little bit bigger, hopefully we can all see the Adidas category page at the moment, and then we can see some of the things already that we've been talking about. So we have men's football boots title. We've got lots of categories along the side, so that I can filter by the type of football boots that I may or may not be looking for. And then I can filter it even further. So I might be looking for, of course, my specific size of shoe. And then, I can filter by country and lots of other things. So they've made it really easy for me to be able to do that. There's additional filters over here as well. So I can sort by certain parameters. And we can see how things change. So when I'm hovering over a certain one, it looks as if, so I'm now hovering over this middle one. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Hovering over this middle one, it actually gets rid of, or the text, I don't even know what you'd call that, but the text in the middle where it says FG low top football boot 3 colors, that disappears when I hover over it, which is quite interesting. Personally, I might think that it would be the other way around, where that would become available as I hover over it, because I'd want more information if that's a boot that I'm interested in. But we can scroll down and see lots of other options as well, and then we'll see if they've got any content down at the bottom. Right down at the bottom, they do. So they've got football boots for men, targeting that keyword, and then additional content and a read more button. So just scrolling back up to the top, I'm going to jump into Sitebulb. Now, this is a feature that I feel isn't talked about enough within Sitebulb, because we all know it's an incredibly powerful crawler, but they actually have the single page analysis, which I use quite a bit, especially since I discovered it. It's just at the top, so normally all your projects are here, and then just to the side of that we have single page analysis. So with that, you can input your URL, which is what I've done here in true Blue Peter style. I can't even say it. Here's one I prepared earlier. So I entered my URL, It takes a couple of seconds to load, and then I get all of this information. So it's really handy for auditing this information, and I can then see what's on the page, what's not on the page, and then I can start to make these recommendations, especially by template. If I can know that all of my shoes and other products in the case of Nike are all set up using these same sorts of templates, and I know how they work, I can assume, although I'd always manually check, of course, that they're all set up broadly using these same settings. But what's really handy as well, I mean, I'll go through some of the information on these page, but there's lots of other tabs as well, which can easily get missed. But this is incredibly valuable information in all of these. So straight away, I can see that, yep, page is indexable. There's no follow links on it. I've got all of the additional robots directives included at the top, so I can see what's there. Any differences in the canonical, titles, meta descriptions, these are all really useful information. And I can also see the headers, the number of headers. So header 2, I've got there the number of header 2s and things like that. Reading time, I really like the information that's included here. I mean, we can see the total number of words, total number of sentences, and reading time. I mean, we all still talk about word count, and we know it's not an actual metric that Google uses, and John Mueller has been talking about it recently. But regardless of that, we know that you need content on a page for it to rank. So although I'm not going to measure the success of a site by the number of words that it has, it is something that I'm going to look at just so I know that it does have information on it about my categories or about my products, whatever the case may be. I can also see things like Open Graph and the descriptions that are included in that. We've got Twitter cards, any Google Analytics tracking codes, and Core Web Vitals as well. So this allows me to really see how the page is set up and where the opportunities may be. But similarly to the full crawl that Sitebulb does, they do have this hint section, so you can easily jump into that. If you don't feel comfortable or you don't have the time to scroll through the overview and really dig into what things are, you can come to this hints tab and look at the things that it's flagging as the big issues there. One of the many things I also like about Sitebulb is they always include this learn more button. So even if I don't know what enormous network payloads means, that's fine. I can easily click on this link, it'll open up a web page, and it'll help me to understand that. And then I can use that to learn on the job, quite literally. But I can also feed that information into the tech tickets that I'm creating and the other stakeholders that I might be communicating with. So we can see, looking at this page, that there's potentially some site speed opportunities. We've got, heavy page loads, render blocking resources, and other images that could be lazy loaded. But also the time to first byte is higher, is what Sitebulb is telling me. So that's something that I'd start to look into and see if that there is an issue with the server, or if there's something that we can improve there. Lots of really useful information here talking about, again, image optimization and how I can do that in various ways. And then it'll also include opportunities here with internal links and how I can optimize those, the content. So we saw on the overview that there was multiple H2s, and we can see here that there's multiple H1s as well. So I know that I can optimize that to make it really clear on this page that I am targeting men's football boots. Same with the title, that's perhaps too short according to this. So this is a really good way for me to know that there's more space that I can make use of to really target my audience and make sure that they know not only am I targeting men's football shoes, but you've come to Nike, we are influential, we're the best, just do it. All of the key information that you need to include is in that title. Of course, we're not going to be spammy, but we're going to make sure that we're including the right information in that title. Going back up as well, we've got things like code coverage, so you can see opportunities within CSS and JavaScript. You can see the differences with the response versus the rendered. So I can see here that with JavaScript, there's additional content on the page. Same with H3s, there's additional H3s. And where's the one I saw earlier? So yeah, going across to the link section, I can see that there's 7.5% more links in the JavaScript rendered version. And looking through, this is a lot of things like I found it earlier. Where's it gone? Basically, it's like additional product carousels as you scroll down the page. That's fine. You know, we'd expect that. Here they are, nice and highlighted in green. But these are things that, you know, you need to look out for and make sure that it's not actually a problem. But we saw manually when I landed on the page and I was scrolling through, we can see that how more pages, more products were loading on the page. It's really, really useful information, which is not available in all tools. So definitely make the most of it in Sitebulb. Screenshots. This is blurry, but it's only blurry because we have this cookie banner. So it's not that, you know, the page looks blurry to Sitebulb or to the search engine. It's just because, of course, it's picking up like the first snapshot essentially, and that's given us this. And we can look at the differences on desktop and mobile as well. There we go. We've got the cookie banner right down the bottom. But we can zoom in and zoom out as well, depending on what sort of page you're looking for, and see differences in ingoing and outgoing links as well, page resources, as well as our old friend Lighthouse, which is all really useful. So you don't have to use lots of different tools to get the information that we're used to. It's all included in this one tool. You know, we've got Sitebulb again, you've got desktop, page speed insights, you've got desktop and mobile, which you can toggle through. Looks like that's still loading. Or it might have been because I just selected the mobile crawler actually with that one. But yeah, you know, lots of really useful information that I'd normally have to have several tools open or several different windows open to be able to access. Not anymore. SSL certificate, making sure that that's valid as well. So already looking at this, we can see that there's some opportunities to optimize like the page titles. We can look at things like the headers and making sure that they're really clear and there's not multiple conflicting ones as well. So that's really useful to be able to see that. Looking at a couple of others, category pages, this is SMEG. So again, like regardless of what tool I'm using, I always make sure that I'm doing manual checks because there is no substitution for manual checks, especially if this is a client that you've been working on for a while, or even if it's not actually, you know, we need to be able to interact with a website as humans, you know, and understand the information that we're looking for and how it behaves. But if we have been working with them for a while, then there's going to be background knowledge, and these are things that a tool isn't going to know. Of course, they're not psychic. Even the best tools in the world, like Sitebulb, is not psychic. Patrick, maybe add that to the queue. Can you? Can we add psychic abilities? I'd like to see that one in the infamous release notes, maybe. But where were we? Looking at SMEG, we've got this category page. We're looking at the features that they have. We have filters, so we're able to look at different types of installation, built-in and freestanding, different energy classes. Of course, there's not as many filter options as what we saw with Nike, but that's fine. That's certainly how what am I trying to say? That's certainly what me as a potential buyer of these sorts of products would be interested in. And we can scroll down and we can see, yeah, we've got titles, we've got product information sheets, which is really handy. We can compare. That's quite cool. So I can click 2 different options. Let me accept the cookies. Let me get rid of that. Nice. So we can see that and I can choose compare and then that'll open up. So I can really make the decision between these 2 types of products much more easier. Let's see what happens when I click on that. Yeah, it literally has side-by-side comparison, and then I can look at them, or I can tick to show differences. That's really cool. I like that one. Really interesting way that they've done it on their product page, and it's not something that many others do. So there's only a few products on this page, not necessarily a problem, but let's have a look. So if I take that and paste that into Sitebulb, again on the single page analysis, we're going to let that load for a moment. But we can see already that, you know, a lot of the tools a lot of the bullet points that we were talking about and key optimization points are included. We've got a prominent title here targeting, the keyword. Classic wine coolers. There's lots of different types of wine coolers as well, as we can see here, freestanding and built-in. I'm just looking at the top level category here, but there's a clear title and clear images as well. So let's have a look and see. We're still loading, which is fine. And then when that loads, again, we can use all of that same information to really find what we need to do. I always find it quite hypnotizing, this little bit. I always feel like, in Jungle Book, this is going to make me seem like a what's the word? It's going to make me seem very strange, but this always makes me think of in the Jungle Book when you've got the snake with the eyes when he hypnotizes the main character, Mowgli. It's what that makes me think of, and I have no idea why. Cool. So now that that's loaded, we can see a lot of the information here. Sorry, I can see a few people laughing in the comments. Yeah, we've got the information here, so I can immediately see it's not indexable and it's canonicalized. Okay, so that's potentially an issue. This is what I would assume is a big category page. And where's it canonicalized to? Well, I can see that quite easily. The canonical is to HTTP. This is what another thing that I really like about Sitebulb. Instead of me looking at that and being like, hang on, what is the difference? That looks quite similar. You can easily miss the S if you're just looking at what the differences are, but I don't have to guess. They make it really nice and easy for me to see what the difference is. So we're canonicalized to the non-secure version. Really simple recommendation that I can make straight away to my client. Not that they are my client, but if they were, I'd be straight on the phone to Smeg or straight on Slack and saying, like, do you know that this page is no indexed? Scrolling down as well, we can look for other opportunities. Title, it's not very optimized, is it? You might expect to see a bit more information in there, or you have the brand name perhaps could be included in there, but also the meta description, classic wine coolers. Massive missed opportunity there that we can optimize on. What about classic wine coolers? If I was to see this in a SERP, I mean, we all know that meta descriptions are not the most valuable area, and Google will choose their own. But if you're not providing them with something optimized, something useful for users, then it's even less likely that you're going to perform well. So I want to provide something there that's relevant to my products, relevant to the types of searches that I would expect my audience to be making, so that regardless of whether Google does choose to rewrite it or not, I know that they've got the right information then. I know that it's going to ideally encourage users to click through to my website. Open Graph, again, classic wine coolers. They're really not using a lot of information on here, and I don't think there was much content on the page. Where's it gone? Where's my product count? 7 word count. So yeah, 17,000, not 17,000, 1,700. So I'd want to have a look at that and see what that content is. 2 headers, 158 words, not very easy to read. There's definitely opportunities there as we've talked about. And we could go through all of these and find lots more opportunities. But I also want to spend a bit of time making sure that we're talking about product pages themselves rather than just the categories. But just doing quickly, looking at the hints, again, off-screen images. So there's lazy loading opportunities here. I mean, one thing I would always do is I wouldn't just take all of this and feed this straight into my dev queue. I'd want to understand what it is my devs are currently working on, what's their roadmap looking like, and what's their bandwidth, and then I can start to feed these in accordingly. I mean, it may be that they don't have much space in upcoming sprints, so we might not be able to look at some of these critical or high items, but I can keep them on the back burner, and we can work on some of the ones that are easy to fix, like the content opportunities that we just talked about, and updating the canonical ready so that when they do have opportunity to get some of these larger items worked on, I've already got the tickets basically ready to go. So that's just something that's worth considering, really. Make sure you're having those conversations with the devs so you know what their capabilities are in terms of their know-how, but also in terms of their bandwidth. Code coverage as well, as we talked about, the difference between rendered and the response. Cookies has been a difference here. That's fine. Not worried about the cookie banner showing up, and screenshots as well that we talked about with the desktop and the mobile versions. I bet there's a see, instead of the cookie banner on the last one, this is showing the newsletter. That's really interesting to see. Cool. So what I'm going to do in the interest of time is we've looked at 2 category pages, so I'm going to move ahead and look at some product pages. The first one that I wanted to look at is back to SMEG. So this time I've moved on. Instead of wine, I'm now looking at coffee. So I don't know if you can see the URL, but this is smeguk.com/product, and then a bunch of letters and numbers. So that would be, I assume, my product ID. Not very optimized, first of all, but I know that it's a product based on the URL, or I'd assume it's a product. We've got breadcrumbs, nice and handy. These are, helping me to know where I am, where I've come from, especially if I've just landed on this page from a SERP. But it also, it's good internal links as well. So we've got a nice title. I've got lots of information about this espresso machine and some handy bullet points, and then I can read more as well to expand. A couple more points, read less. I've then got dimensions, so that jumps down. Okay, that's all good. Design and technology, what does that do? So that jumps to another section, and we've got a handy video animation here as well that's showing me the different features. I like this. This is all lifestyle imagery. This is high quality. It's really appealing to the user and showing why I need this coffee grinder rather than this espresso coffee machine rather than any of the others. Scrolling back up, we've got different colors, so we can easily click between them. That's taken me to a different page rather than staying on the same one. Again, that's not a problem. I can also shop online, or I can find local stockists. This is all good. This is all what we'd expect. It's a lot of the things that we spoke about on the bullet points. So if we scroll down, we've got more videos, more information, barista experience. They've really gone hard on showcasing the lifestyle side of things. Thermoblock, amazing, love that. But it doesn't actually show me the price, right? We talked about that on the other ones and product pages, and really highlighting that as one of the key elements, because with all this information on the page, I'm like, right, I'm sold. I need this in my life. And what it does, it then takes me, it gives me this shop online button. Now I've already opened this up, so this is the page that it takes us to. Now I can see it, but the URL has changed, so I'm now on a shop.subdomain. So it's all of this bit is the same, if you can see that, but it's now shop.smeguk.com. Which makes me wonder why this is now on a separate subdomain, first of all. I mean, there might be reasons for that. I don't work with Smeg, so that'll be useful to understand. Perhaps there's limitations within the CMS as to why they have to do this, but on the face of it, it would seem like an interesting choice. And there's also a different option here now within the breadcrumbs. Previously, we didn't have this coffee preparation option. It went straight from small appliances to espresso machines. So we've got an additional link within this, but a lot of the other information is the same, especially in terms of the colors. We saw that previously. We've got a price nice and prominent, and now we have like information in regards to delivery. Amazing. Now, what I did see when I'll do it again and I'll talk while it is loading. I've just put that into the single page analysis there. But what I did see is that this page is now indexed because it's canonicalized. And what it's canonicalized to is a page that's essentially the same like just looking at these two pages, I'm changing tabs. You can't really see any difference between them. But it's the URL that's massively different. So it's still on shop.smeg, but now I've got this full URL. So all of these breadcrumbs are included now within my URL. I've got a product title and then the product words. Come on, Nikki. The product ID and then the title is all included in there. So that's another opportunity. So we saw the thing before about the canonicals with the category page on Smeg, but now we've got basically two different versions of the product page, and one's canonicalized to the other. If this is the correct page, why are we not linking to this from the shop button, or vice versa? Why, if the other one's the correct page, why are we then canonicalizing to this? It's sending very conflicting signals. Going back to Sitebulb, it's come up with this straight away because I was previously on the screenshot section. So if I go back to overview, we then get that information. So it's not that it was not working or I was trying to do something else. It's simply because I was on the screenshots section previously when I entered that URL. So here I can see, this is what I was talking about, canonicalized to internal URL. So yep, this is that extra long URL that I was talking about. And had I not, when I was preparing for this talk, had I not done that and already run it through the single page analysis, I could quite easily have missed that and not realized that the page was canonicalized. Like I say, like there might be reasons why this is the case, but it's certainly questions that I would want to be asking. Not picking up any titles or meta descriptions. The price is a header. Not necessarily a bad thing, but these are things that we can notice. It might make sense for it to be a header. Of course, it's key information. But lots of things that we can pick out here and just ask questions about. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions for our clients or for our devs, just being like, hey, I spotted this, any particular reason why. You don't always have to go in and say, hey, I spotted this, it's wrong, you need to fix it. Just ask the question. That's how we learn more about websites in general, but it's how we learn more about our clients and actually build better relationships with them and the stakeholders. Look at the hints on this one. Again, this is a bigger issue here. So before I think it said high, whereas now it's saying critical for enormous network payloads. Lazy loading, add dimensions to images. That would be a good one to work on depending on the dev queue. Font size is too small. This is a really important one. So for mobile devices, Sitebulb is telling me that it's going to be harder for certain people to read. Accessibility is becoming more and more important for us, so we want to make sure that it's legible for all of our audiences. Otherwise, we're alienating a big part of our audience, and then it could be that we lose a sale altogether at Smeg, or they might instead go to someone like John Lewis or one of the third-party like department stores who also sell these sorts of products. If I'm working with Smeg, I want them to check out on this website because obviously then they're not having to pay third-party costs or like middleman costs, whatever you want to call them. We want them to check out here so that they get as much of the money as possible. Title tag's empty. We saw that on the overview page. Same with meta description. Lots of things to work on. And uppercase characters in the URL. The reason why this is an issue is because, exactly as it says here, if it's mixed case, it can identify them as two separate URLs. With this one being like the product ID as the number, not necessarily as much of an issue, but I'd want that to be an optimized URL anyway, rather than these. So lots of stuff that we can work on. And then the final product page that I wanted to run through quickly is this one from Waterstones. So I'm going to quickly put this URL into Sitebulb so that can start doing its magic while we run through. And it's also just occurred to me that basically this is like a insight into some of the things that I do in my spare time. We've got football, wine, coffee, and now true crime. Like, how stereotypical can we get? Well, yeah, looking at this product page from Waterstones, we've got Lots of information here in regards to the breadcrumbs. You can see exactly where I came from and how this is broken down. Book title, author. Of course, with products like this, I really want information about the author, especially if this is someone that I'm a fan of or I find this interesting. Then I would want to be able to click on that and find more information. 5-star reviews. We can see it's got 4.5 out of 5. Lots of valuable information. Clear pricing. Add to basket. Click and collect. I prefer this a huge amount, especially rather than the SMEG option where I have to click to then go to a subdomain. I can quite easily check out from here. Really good synopsis. Same again, more information with the authors. Lots of information about this product. And as well, this hasn't been included on all of the product pages that we've been looking at, but you may be also interested in. Lots of related true crime content here, whether that's Joan, I know that was also made into a TV series, but then we've also got things like Mindhunter. Again, that was on Netflix, wasn't it? But there's information about Wakefield Prison, lots of other related content. This is what I'd expect to see on a product page, as well as the review. So this is what I was talking about earlier. We've got reviews on the page itself, lots of options where I can see the date that it was added. Other people found it helpful. Again, that's another big trust signal. View other formats and editions as well, depending on what it is that you're selling. This is a really good opportunity to include other formats. So with books, we've got hardback, softback, and ebooks as paperback, not softback. Hardback, paperback, and maybe it could be like ebooks as well and things like that. In this case, it's a signed edition. But going back, let's see what Sitebulb has come back with. Again, this is canonicalized, so it's to another internal URL. So this is what's different about this URL. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's another version of the URL, but it looks like, so it's this information, so the product ID, I'm guessing, that's different. If we had a bit more time, we'd look at what that page is by opening it up manually, which Sitebulb allows you to do at the click of a button, just by clicking that. But we can see, compared to some of the others, we've got an optimized title, we've got a good meta description. This is handy as well, actually. If you're looking at blog content, you can see information about when it was published. You might have like the dates in there and stuff, and last edited dates and things like that. Really useful. A lot more content on this page, but we saw that just by clicking through. There was a detailed synopsis. That's useful to know. Open Graph is much more optimized than some of the other websites that we've been looking at. Again, if we look at the hints, vendor blocking resources and images. Images is always a big one, especially with e-commerce. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have some sort of recommendation about the images. But I guess like one of the key things that I want to talk about today with Sitebulb is you don't always have to run a full crawl. It's incredibly valuable to do that, and I definitely still would, but perhaps I just need to look at some quick opportunities, or maybe I don't have the time to run a full crawl, or I've got a crawl scheduled and I need to find something else in the meantime. Definitely make use of this single page analysis and you'll get a lot more out of it than you would think. But honestly, just have a play. We could spend hours just going through these different options on here and learning more about them. And there's a lot you could get from that. So that's the auditing in a nutshell there. But what I'm going to quickly do is jump back into the deck, which hopefully is now working. Look at that, seamless. So just to summarize in the last few minutes that we have today, how do we optimize PLPs? These are some of the key elements. We're looking at headers and banners. Include urgency messaging. Buy now, only 10 left. that sort of information. We didn't see examples of that on these particular websites, but I'm sure we've seen that in the wild when we've been doing our own online shopping. Personalize the experience. If you can include any personalization data, as well as complementary products, it might be that things like ASOS I've seen where it's like you previously looked at this product and it's now back in stock type messages, or other similar elements of personalization data can really go a long way. Lifestyle and editorial content is an interesting one. The way that that's useful is it creating more dynamic experiences and boosting shopper engagement and helping them to make purchase decisions. This is exactly what Smeg did on their page, and showcasing the different product attributes that are available as well. Same with PDPs. How do we summarize that? What are the elements that we look for? Make sure we have a descriptive product title. We want to clearly show prices and discounts. We want to make it clear shipping policies and return policies as well. A lot of people miss the return policies, but make sure you're including that and making them easily accessible. Strong internal links. We've only really talked about breadcrumbs in today's talk, but there's lots of other opportunities in these pages that we can utilize with internal links within the content itself. Take the time to do some further research into that and look for sensible opportunities. We're not just adding internal links for the sake of it. Quite the opposite. We want to make sure that they're highly relevant internal links that are helping people down the conversion journey. And allow for easy comparison and customization. We saw this again with Smeg, where I was able to compare the two products and look at what the differences were between them. So to summarize, as tech SEOs, or as women in tech SEO, it is our job to audit PLPs and PDPs to help us to drive more conversions. Thank you very much. Hope that was useful for everybody. Please do share any questions in the comments. Looking at the time, if we don't have time to answer them today, feel free to send them over to me on Slack, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, make sure you come around next week as well for the next session with Josephine, and check us all out. But yeah,
Thank you, Nikki. This was absolutely awesome. And we really appreciate you sharing all of this knowledge with us. I think we have enough time to maybe cover 2 to 3 quick questions, if you're okay with that. And we've told everyone to make sure they connect with you on LinkedIn and on all other places as well. And yes, definitely to ask questions in our Slack group. So one question we had come through from Abby: do you have any strong feelings on pagination versus infinite scroll for PLPs?
Yes, I do. And it depends on, I've said it again, it depends. It depends on the type of website. I mean, I think it has its place. And I'm currently auditing a few websites at Journey Further, and they do use infinite scroll. And I was able to look at the heat map data and various other bits of data that they had to see how people are using it. And because they were more fashion based and people were actively looking for certain things, then I can understand how infinite scroll makes sense. I mean, with category pages, it's kind of like social media, right? Social media uses infinite scroll because they want you to stay on the page. They want you to keep looking and find what you're looking for. The difference with typical pagination is that it makes you pay attention more. I prefer typical pagination with things that are more tech based, because with that, I'm not just looking at the way that things look. I'm not just looking for a new t-shirt where I'd quickly go, oh yeah, that's the one I was looking for. With pagination, you have to slow down and look at the products and then manually click to next. So I personally prefer it, but I think it does differ from industry to industry.
Yeah, I think we had a few questions come through for pagination. That one was quite a good summary one of it. So thank you for sharing that. Jihad had asked, what are the best practices in situation where Google is indexing filters at the place of the category page? I think that was one of our most upvoted questions.
Where Google is indexing filters in the place a category page. So I would want to know what filters it's indexing, how many filters it's indexing, and what sort of impact they may or may not be having on my category pages. I don't want to steal the thunder of one of my colleagues, but they had a very similar issue with this, whereas they had, and the reason why I'm not stealing their thunder is because I think they're going to write it up and publish it as a bit of a case study. But without giving away any spoilers, what we did is he found these filters and saw that they were being crawled and taking up a lot of the crawl budget, and it looked as if they were having a negative impact. Therefore, they added a rule to the robots.txt to disallow them, which would make sense because we're telling Google, stop wasting your resources here. I want you to, you know, place your resources elsewhere. But then what we actually saw as a result in Google Search Console is that those pages were now being indexed. Like they were coming up in Google Search Console as indexed but blocked by robots.txt. And we were a bit confused because it's like, but we're telling you not to. But it seemed as if, and again, this is a lot of what my colleagues are going to be including in their study, is that whereas before they were potentially crawling them and it looked as if they were having an issue, now we were telling Google exactly where they were, so it was definitely coming across them, and there was many, many more thousands and thousands of pages that were being indexed, whereas they weren't previously. So I guess the answer is don't just jump straight away to blocking them in robots. Don't just straight away canonicalize them either. It may be that actually the best option is to leave it alone, especially if you can't clearly see that it's having a negative impact.
Yeah, thank you for that one. Yeah, a lot of people were upvoting it, so I think is something that, having worked on an e-commerce site myself before, like filters were probably like one of our biggest initiatives and main points of focus. So Eva asked one around: do you recommend using canonical referencing to similar products when you fear or see keyword cannibalization? So due to the similarity of different products, and gives an example about like shirt in different colors. Like how could you solve for this issue?
Canonical with similar products due to similarity. Similar answer in the same that I wouldn't just jump into anything. I'd want to see if it is actually having an issue, and just because one keyword tool might flag it as an issue, what is Google actually seeing? How are they behaving of it? And I wouldn't just jump straight to canonicalizing my red t-shirt to the white because that's the default. It might be that there's actually a bigger search volume for my red t-shirt, and by doing that I could be completely losing that as a ranking page and that revenue as well. So yeah, definitely do more research. Maybe it would be to canonicalize some of the less searched products instead and leave the ones that I know that are most popular. You don't always have to canonicalize every variation back to the default, if you like. But just look at Google. You know, you can do manual searches as well. You know, change your location and a VPN and all these sorts of things, and search like a user would, not like an SEO would. I think that's a key one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nikki. We had a bunch of other questions come through, but we'll make note of them. And anyone who's part of the WTS community, please do share them in the Slack channel. And Nikki's super active on there and will be able to help, or others can be able to help as well. And definitely make sure you connect with Nikki on all platforms and subscribe to their newsletter, best newsletter ever. I absolutely love it. It comes every week and shares tons of resources and a brilliant column. So thank you again so much for Sitebulb for hosting us, and a massive thank you to you, Nikki, for sharing all your knowledge. We're going to be back next week at the same time. We're talking about all things indexability, which is very, very exciting. And we'll be joined by the brilliant Ashley Note for that. So thanks everyone for joining, and the recordings will be sent next week via email. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone.